What's the harsh reality no one accepts? Mistakes do define you. The little ones don't. But if you make a big mistake, it will alter your life to an extent. Saying that they don't matter is a lie that will prevent you from diagnosing life problems later down the line. This is something I wrestle with a lot in terms of my recovery from alcoholism. I quit young, at 24, and have been sober 7 years without relapse. Despite that accomplishment, I have alcoholic neuropathy, nerve damage, that will never go away no matter how long I'm sober. This is a wonderful accomplishment though. Quitting is so hard, even if you have every reason to. You chose life. Thanks. Best decision I've ever made. It gets a lot easier the more time you have. And luckily, my nerve damage is relatively minor, but it's not uncommon for me to get painful pins and needles sensations and numbness in certain fingers and throughout my left foot. People assume only hardcore alcoholics who drank for decades have these types of problems. But I was physically dependent for only 3 years and it happened. Alcohol is really FG hard on the body. I'm so grateful it doesn't run my life anymore. Bad things will happen to you for no reason. I always liked the Star Trek quote, "It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose." That is not a weakness. That is life. For that reason, some things just happen and that's the way it is. That quote made me start watching Star Trek TNG on Netflix. Without exaggerating, it is one of the best shows ever made. Edit. I've gotten some of the same questions, so let me answer them here. Do you need watch the original series first? No. I started off from Star Trek TNG Season 1. It was rougher than the later seasons. Episode 2 was really bad, but I read up on it on Wikipedia and found it was considered the second worst episode of the entire series. Haha. I'd recommend watching from Season 1. So you understand and get a better feel for the characters. And just power through into Season 2 when things really pick up. With The Measure of a Man episode being considered the starting point of where it became great. What's a good episode to get hooked by? Some of the best episodes requires emo. That you have gotten a better feel for the cast so you understand them better and can sympathize with them better. Or that you've followed the plot. But the following are good episodes off the top of my head that stand well on their own. The Inner Light, Season 5 Episode 25. Elementary. Dear Dada, Season 2 Episode 3. And its sequel. Ship in a Bottle Season 6 Episode 12. First Contact, Season 4 Episode 15. Someone recommended an episode guide, so you know which episodes to skip. They recommend the following taste test episodes. The Defector, Season 3 Episode 10. Data's Day, Season 4 Episode 11. Timescape, Season 6 Episode 25. Is it like Star Wars? Well, it takes place in space. But it's different. Star Wars takes place in a galaxy far away. Whereas Star Trek takes place in our galaxy. At some point Earth came up with the warp drive, which allowed for faster than light travel. We quickly came into contact with our galactic neighbors and it went on from there. TNG takes place in the 24th century. When Earth and the Federation of Planets it is part of constitutes one of the main powers in this quadrant of the Milky Way. We have reached a post-capitalistic society with matter replicators that allow us to create whatever food, drink or other item we want. Holodecks that allow us to live out virtual reality and simulate NPC beings that have a tendency to turn sentient. And other cool tech. Still, despite this we are still human and Star Trek does a wonderful job of exploring many of the ethical and philosophical questions we've been dealing with since ancient times. As the goal of the Enterprise is to explore the Milky Way for new life. For example, what is life? How would we recognize it? Whether it be silicone-based, pure energy, simulated, or even artificial life in the form of androids, robots, nanites. Purposefully engineered. Or by accident? Star Trek also touches upon questions of leadership, authority, Military, Navy life and politics. The Enterprise is formally on a mission of exploration and research. With a crew, researchers and engineers, reflecting that. But they're also all ranked members of the Starfleet. And not all races they encounter are friendly. Other interesting races sharing our galaxy include the Klingons, a warrior race, quite barbaric in looks and behavior. But they live by their own sense of honor. Similar to the samurai Bushido. In the original series they were enemies of the Federation. But in between that and TNG they formed an alliance. The Romulans, a space version of the Roman Empire. They care only for the glory of their empire and share a DMZ, neutral zone in space. They're cousins of the Vulcans and are also very logical. But fascistic and greedy. Ferengis, weird and annoying. They are super greedy and are motivated by profit above all. Kinda like the goblins in Harry Potter. The Q, literally omnipotent beings. For some reason, a member of the Q continuum has taken an interest in us humans and likes to mess with us. The Borg, cybernetic organisms linked in a hive mind called the Collective. Their sole goal is to expand across the galaxy. Like us. And assimilate other civilizations and their technologies. Resistance is futile. The Bajrans, a highly culturally advanced race, turned into space refugees after their home planet was annexed by the highly militaristic Calrissians, Kardashians, and more. They're also human-like races who just live differently. Like a planet of clones. Or a planet of genetically engineered people. Have you watched DS9? No. I'm almost done with TNG and am looking forward to watching it afterwards. Thanks everyone for your recommendations. Yep. The insane thing is that it would never have survived today because S1 is pretty terrible and S2 isn't much better. It would have been. Attempted Star Trek reboot cancelled after 2 seasons despite best efforts of famous stage actor Patrick Stewart. Quote, then season 3 starts and it all kicks off. There are still some corny episodes. Obviously, it's Star Trek. But at its best it's arguably the greatest sci-fi series ever made. Some of its episodes are still seared into my mind 30 years later. Edit. I have been reminded that QWHO is in season 2. I thought it was 3. Abort. Abort. Season 2 is really important. Edit. Stop telling me Q was in the first episode of the show. I know. Damn it, the reason QWHO is so good is that it introduces the Borg. We all benefit. In one way or another. From others who are oppressed. No one is as important as they think they are. You will likely be lost to history. In just a few centuries. Nobody will remember or even knew you existed. Sad. I know. But you just have to accept it. Just make sure to dab or do a handstand or something dumb when a volcano goes off to give archaeologists a good laugh a couple hundred or so years later. Link. Archaeologists really had to do like that. The world doesn't owe you anything. Not if you've suffered all your life or even if you were the greatest person to live. Not everyone finds love. That I don't care that you broke your elbow. AFK. I can't believe you've done this. Context. For those who are not familiar with the meme. Us first world citizens have it much better than we think we have it. And people say they care. But the vast majority just want to go have happy hour on the patio and put it out of their mind. A while back there was an AskReddit about what are some shocking truths or something along those lines. Paraphrasing one that really stuck with me, people in first world countries defecate in cleaner water than most others in the world drink. There's a group of people out there in the world that would be very happy to see you every day and love you and accept you for exactly who you are. You'll probably just never meet them. Nobody is truly selfless. And that's okay. There's a guy named Robin Hanson who's an interesting thinker and he's co-authored a book called The Elephant in the Brain about the hidden motives in our daily lives. The book says exactly what you say. But Hansen doesn't seem to find that depressing or disheartening. As far as I remember. He put it like this. Humans don't look that bad when compared to other animals. The only way we look bad is when we compare ourselves to the angels we pretend to be. Reminds me of a quote. Limited in nature, infinite in his desires. Man is a fallen god who remembers the heavens. Alphonse de Lamartine. That the world is run by psychopaths. Life goes on. Not everyone is going to like you. No matter how hard you try. Do I need to be liked? Absolutely not. I like to be liked. I enjoy being liked. I have to be liked. But it's not like this compulsive need to be liked. Like my need to be praised. Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy. Both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me. Even as a young adult. I struggle with this one. I can't help myself. Though. I just don't want people to add unnecessary difficulty to what I'm doing just because they don't like me. I get that it's how life goes and we have to accept that. But it's nice to catch a break. Pandemics last years. Not weeks or months. You can't be anything you want to be. We're not all special. Some of us will not find love. We're not all equal. Change never to not, and that's a fine haiku. Liked your suggestion so much I took it. Thank you. Reddit is an echo chamber, and just because a belief is popular here does not mean it is in real life. Edit. Reminder: you should sort this topic by controversial. This should be on the header across all of Reddit as a reminder. As a person outside of the US, I thought that Bernie Sanders is already on the verge of winning the election with a huge majority, but surprisingly he backed out. What's up with that? If Shrek 5 happens, it's going to be a shitty cash grab, and Shrek is probably going to do the floss. This thread is filled with harsh realities that most people do accept. Pain is inescapable. Not even acknowledging that pain is inevitable and preparing for it ahead of time can lessen it. You will be taken by surprise. You will be hurt. You will not enjoy it. You will not be able to numb it. And there is nothing you can do except take it on the chin. Edit. I guess I should add. It's true, you can prepare yourself to experience certain kinds of pain and lessen its impact. But when I said this, I meant that eventually something was going to come up that you never prepared for and cause pain anyway. Just didn't do a good job of making that clear. Sorry. Oh. And yes, pain can also bring about growth. I don't disagree with that at all. I am reminded of an iconic quote from Robert Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land, and I paraphrase. I have discovered why humans laugh. Not because there is a levity, but because there is a wrongness. Humans laugh because something is wrong. Quote from Veggie Tales. In the future, jokes will be generated randomly. The world goes on after you die. Not everyone will turn out to be a superstar or super successful in their lives. Beauty and money matter a lot. The world is nicer to rich and beautiful people. Sometimes you must accept the truth that there always will be idiots who will FK it up for rest of us. Very few people truly accept their mortality. And most of the time when it truly sinks in, people get scared and want to avoid it. St keeps me up at night sometimes with a dread swelling in my stomach. Edit. And just like that, my fears have become my most upvoted post. This world. I feel mine in my heart. It's that thought of just being over, gone, no longer experiencing good, bad, just experiencing. My heart starts to race. I get cold sweats. My stomach drops. My chest feels like it is sinking into itself. And feels like panic setting in. I have to force myself to go do something just to make it stop. First impressions are a very big deal. They can be. My partner is on the road a lot for his job. This particular week he was away with one of the big bosses of the company. Everyone in the office knew the big boss was traveling with my partner in the car. My partner got a call from a customer and had to ring the office to finalize the sale all via the car kit. Office guy picks up the phone. "Yeah, what do you want?" In a super uninterested and gruff voice. Needless to say, he left a lasting impression. Seems like it's not that important. But in a workplace, that kind of thing stands out. I worked at a pretty small retail chain in Australia that was doing very well overseas. Every now and then, big boss from overseas flies over to check up on how things were going. All I've ever heard is bitchy things about this woman. Anyway, one unassuming day, this lady walks right up to the counter. And within 10 seconds I say, "Hi. How are you going today?" With a smile. This lady kind of awkwardly laughs and my store manager laughs hysterically and is like, "OMG, that's Nicole. Haha, you goof. How rude, you assumed she was a customer." And Nicole just looked to my manager politely and said, "Well, actually, you should assume everyone is a customer. And treat them in that exact way." That was perfect. Quote, "This was my first job and I was totally embarrassed. But it was flipped and I realized that that interaction actually looked great for me. And I immediately impressed the big boss. Stupid of my manager to try and humiliate me. I saw kind of the reverse happen once. I was working as a pharmacy technician and the district manager came for a store visit. He was talking to the pharmacist about pointless metrics and a patient walked up to the counter. The pharmacist kept trying to leave and help them. But the DM kept stopping him, saying, "That's technician work. Let's focus on the task at hand." This was like 4 feet from the counter. And they definitely heard it. Except there were only 3 technicians. And we were all helping other patients at the drive-thru or on the phone. Eventually one of us got to the counter. And the patient said, "Wow. Your boss's boss is an AE. Ha." Quote, "That guy was our favorite person for a while." Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.